and we're going to recap the 49ers versus Seahawks.
Preview.
Yeah, we're going to preview the 49ers versus Seahawks. Thank you, Michael. I'm just really scared right now because I've got PTSD of playing the Seahawks on Thanksgiving, and really for most of my life playing the Seahawks. It has not been a great experience for the most part ever since I've been watching football, playing against Seattle. It's like just imagine the most heartbreaking losses and like getting dogged most of the time. Well, let me tell you, 49er fans, this is not that time. I don't think we have to worry as much as we did in the past. I think the 49ers are clearly a better team than the Seahawks. And maybe I'm just underestimating the opponent. One thing that worries me is that we've got all the fan base is not even talking about this game against the Seahawks. Everyone saw the Monday Night Football game between the Chiefs and the Eagles, and everybody's just talking about that. And we want to talk about, playing the game one game at a time. And Fred Warner said that was the lesson that they learned like 2 weeks ago is that they learned that they need to play one game at a time. It could be that I hope it's just the fans. I hope it's not the team overlooking Seattle because, they're still right behind us in the division. We don't want to let that slip away. And more importantly, in order to really make it that relevant against the Eagles, we need to take care of business against Seattle first. And not only that, we play Seattle again after the Eagles. How confident would we feel as fans if the 49ers do not take care of business on Thanksgiving Thursday night, and then they have to go against the Eagles, and then the week after that they have to play a team that they dropped the ball against, on Thanksgiving? That would almost like we're riding another high right now. We don't want to be on a roller coaster. We want to be on like an upward trajectory and maintain the consistency of being better. It would just like we would be at the top and just absolutely the stock would plummet and we would start like panicking again because we would start to think about what is going on with this 49ers team. Why have they lost 4 games out of the last 6 or out of the last I think it would be 6. Really the keys to the game for the 49ers are just going to be, Purdy has to keep playing well like he's been playing the past 2 weeks. I feel like I say this every week, but, really as long as Purdy's not turning the ball over, I think the Niners have a great chance to win every week because they've got so many weapons. As soon as Debo came back and Trent Williams came back, you really saw that like, the defenses can't really hone in on Brandon Ayuk and can't really focus on McCaffrey without having to pay for it on, Debo's going to start eating. And, Shanahan started incorporating Elijah Mitchell more. So if Elijah Mitchell is able to get going, you're going to have more carries up the middle and you won't have all that strain just going solely on McCaffrey, right? You want to lighten the load on offense. You don't want to rely too much on one person. And, the Seahawks have a pretty good secondary. And, I think that they will give the 49ers the most trouble out of any of their division opponents. I know earlier in the year, I thought the Rams were going to be a good team. The Rams just beat Seattle. So I don't think the Rams are as bad as maybe people think, but the Rams always have, I don't know what it is. It's like rock, paper, scissors. The Niners always beat the Rams always beat the Seahawks, and the Seahawks always beat the Niners. But really, I think the Niners are going to win. And I know Mike's supposed to give his prediction first, but I'll just give it because I've already gone on my whole spiel already. But give me the Niners. I think Geno Smith is a fine starter, but I don't think he's I don't think he's good enough to carry Seattle to a victory over, the adjustments that Wilkes seems to have made. I mean, it could be this Seahawks offense. I think is better than the Buccaneers offense. I I think I like Geno a little bit more than I like Baker Mayfield. And what are you going to say, Mike?
Oh, I mean, I wasn't gonna say. I just, I've been hearing a lot that Baker Mayfield's had like a resurgence with the Buccaneers, and maybe it's true, and maybe he is having a better season than Geno. Like, I feel like it might be close, but I don't know. I think my thing is I feel like this season, like oddly enough, the Seahawks are a playoff team right now, and probably will be, unless they just lose a lot of games coming up, which two of them they probably should. Um, but it's like it just feels weird because it feels like Geno isn't having nearly as good of a season as last year,
Mm-hmm.
and yet they're still like fine, you know. So maybe he's actually playing fine. He's more of like a good what did you field general or whatever. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like he and Baker Mayfield are interesting comparisons this season.
Mm-hmm. One thing that's going to be interesting is I think Kenneth Walker is probably doubtful for the game on Thursday because he's been dealing with, I want to say, a calf issue, and then he might have like an oblique injury also going on.
Yeah.
So maybe he's fully healed from the calf, but he is absolutely going through that oblique strain or some sort of injury.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I even if he was playing, I don't know if they would be able to establish the run against the Niners defense anyway. But the fact that he's not, we might see a little bit more checkdowns from Geno Smith to Zach Charbonnet because Charbonnet is more of a receiving kind of back than a straight up the gut runner. But I'm sure, I mean, if he's a running back, I mean, don't count him out, right?
Oh, he'll put his head down. He might
Yeah,
get flagged for it, but he's willing to run through guys. So
even if he doesn't put his head down, yeah, I mean, there will be a flag on something in today's NFL. So look out for that, right? Just sort of giving a nod to, we had a discussion sort of in our fantasy group chat earlier about today's NFL and how it's like dictated by the referees, you know. But Mike, what's your prediction on the game?
see. No, I'm just kidding. Niners.
Yeah, I was like, okay, all right, easy
Yeah.
money,
Oh yeah. Yeah. No. I Kenneth Walker likely being out is huge, but I feel exactly the same as you. Like I don't really see it for the Seahawks versus this Niners team. Um, I'd actually need to like really look at all of the opponents the Seahawks have faced. Like they could be like essentially fakers, like maybe they're like the Dolphins and like maybe they haven't beaten that many good teams, but
Let me look at
they've
their schedule real quick.
yeah, I feel like they've probably had like one or two like shockingly good wins, but then also like they've probably faced teams like the Panthers or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't
Okay,
know.
so
I'm just
let me
assuming.
see. Uh, they lost to. Hold on. Okay,
I think they're 6-4.
they lost to the Rams. They beat the Lions in overtime. So that's actually
Wow.
crazy. Yeah, 37-31 against the Lions.
Dude, the Lions are that close to being tied for the 1 seed at 9-1.
Yeah.
Jesus.
The Seahawks beat the Panthers. They steamrolled the Giants, but who
It's
didn't?
fine. Yeah.
They lost to the Bengals.
At the time,
They
probably Joe Burrow, so that's fine.
beat
But
the
they didn't beat them.
Cardinals. They beat the Browns. So the Seahawks have beat some pretty good teams.
Well, okay, they beat the Lions and Browns.
Yes, and then they got steamrolled by the Ravens. And then they
Yes,
barely
they
beat the
did.
Commanders. And then they lost to the Rams.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the Seahawks right now. I mean, I guess the best way to put them is a wild card team. Like
Mm-hmm.
they can beat a good team, but they probably won't. and any given Sunday, right? That's how I feel about every team.
It's Thursday, boy. Woo! Not any given Sunday. Just give us the victory right now. Let's look on to Philadelphia like the rest of the fan base is already doing.
Well, the good news for the Niners is they get that extra 3 days to look forward to Philadelphia. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the team gets 3 extra days to prep, right? So that is nice for the Niners. But what the hell was my point? I guess I don't see it for the Seahawks, but the one thing I will say is that this is the late night game, right? And this is in Santa Clara at home.
No.
Oh, it's in Seattle?
It's in Seattle.
Oh, man. See, okay. That's 2 things that make it interesting. I still pick the Niners, but night game, I feel like any football player that steps onto a field at night is going to go, it's fucking on, right? And it's a divisional game. Anything can happen. The pass defense for the Niners is, I think, still a pass funnel to a degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've gotten better, but still, right? Now, Tyler Lockett also, I want to say, is dealing with like a hip injury or a no, it's his hamstring. So if he's not playing 100%, that could definitely limit them too. You're already limited with the run game. So, like I said, I don't see it for the Seahawks, but I could see it being that, primetime night game that could be very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say Tyler Lockett better not play on Thursday if he's dealing with a hip injury because I'm telling you what, Niners would make it worse, with a good old fashioned clapping. Oh my God. I crack myself up sometimes. But yeah, the game being in Seattle, I hope that we're able to finally get our revenge because that fateful day in 2014 where I remember Russell Wilson and Richard Sherman after having multiple interceptions, carrying the turkey and eating the turkey leg on the 49er logo. Like, I mean, it's traumatizing. It's enough to make a grown man cry. Yeah, I want to see Fred Warner and who else would I want to see? Like if I could pick 49er players to eat turkey.
Eat the turkey leg.
Eat the turkey leg. Because they're gonna bring it out. They've done that like every year on the last game.
Yeah. Okay. You give me the players that you want, but I'm going to give you the players that will. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Purdy, George Kittle, and Fred Warner.
Yeah. I'd say those are probably the guys, and you could probably add Kyle Juszczyk in there, just maybe, as a guy who, yeah, because they don't feed him. But the guy I would want to see Fred Warner because he's like the face of the defense. Maybe Nick Bosa, might be cool. George Kittle's probably going to be out there. Yeah, I would want George Kittle because George Kittle's sort of the face of the, I mean, he did pull out the F Dallas shirt. I would want
the
him
entertainment.
He's the entertainment. So he's the performer of the team, so he's got to, it's his time to shine where he's supposed to make it more interesting and fun. He's watched wrestling. He's got to sell it. Sell the rivalry.
Yeah, he knows.
Yeah.
Or what if, I feel like all the time there's always that one player that nobody knows but has a big game. Like maybe Jair Brown gets a pick 6 in this game. Or maybe...
what's sad? He could get a pick 6 in this game and they won't bring him out to eat the turkey. There's too many stars on this team. They're not going to bring him out to eat the turkey. He could have a career game. Maybe. They'll interview him after the game, but I don't know if he'll be eating the turkey, and that's messed up.
Maybe. I mean, if he has a big enough game, I feel like they would try to do it. But that, I will say, that just made me think of something, and this is my last thing here. That's why John Gruden was so good on Monday Night Football, because he always had his Gruden grinder that they would like focus on, and it was always like offensive lineman, defensive tackle, some thought to be second string linebacker that just had a great game, or like some nickel corner or somebody that nobody knew, and he would like showcase him at the end of the game. It was like, hell yeah, like that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Now, just to clarify for the fans watching, at home who maybe don't remember when John Gruden was an announcer, Mike's talking about when Gruden was an announcer, not a head coach during Monday Night Football. Gruden was an announcer on ESPN Monday Night Football, and he would pick out players like who stood out in the game.
Did I just say that's why Gruden was so good? Period.
Yeah, you were like that. Yeah. That's why Gruden was so good on Monday Night Football. Like,
oh, okay.
Yeah, I just wanted
you
to
could see it
clarify.
As a coach. Yeah.
Gotcha. Like at first, I was listening in the lens of like, all right, what did Gruden do as a coach on Monday Night Football? Like, It was so special, But obviously, I remember Gruden grinder.